Hey folks, Saunders, Aaron Becker here at UPMC Rooney Sports Complex that just wrapped up day 2 of the 2025 NFL Draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers just won selection today. Iowa running back Kaleb Johnson, but no shortage of news and intrigue in this second round of the draft. I feel like this was the drama-filled portion. And, well, I mean, Kaleb Johnson, very good running back. Wasn't expecting him to be available to the Steelers at pick 83. Feel like that's not the lead here, as Shedeur Sanders still on the board at the end of day 3, passed up by the Steelers and everybody else multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of quarterbacks that have now been taken before Shedeur Sanders is shocking to me. I don't know about you. Five. Yeah, Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel.
I mean, I can get on board with Shuck to the Saints. I think they're in an interesting situation where they need a quarterback for this year because Carr's hurt, but like they probably also don't want to rule out the idea of being available to get an Arch Manning or Newsmeyer from LSU next year. So Shuck is experienced. They could throw him in right away, and they'll have a good idea in a year's time whether he'll be ready to go or not. I'm not saying that would be my pick, but I can kind of get down with it. Yeah. Jalen Milroe, very, very talented, total wild card, huge project. Definitely has a higher upside than Shedeur Sanders, no question.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel.
That's a rough one.
What are we? There is the longtime members of the audience here will call. There's a video of me. I think it's like from the Pro Bowl or somewhere like that, where we're talking about somebody's asking questions about Dylan Gabriel. I'm just like, why? Like, he's not. The Browns will always find a way to remind you that they are the Browns. That was a total off-the-board pick, I think. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders, but also Kyle McCord, Quinn Ewers, Will Howard still on the board as well. Better players. What do you make of this fall for Shedeur Sanders? What is this?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's been reports that he had a little bit of a poor interview process during the pre-draft visits and whatnot. But I don't know. I don't know about you. I think I saw him as a day 2 pick. Maybe teams didn't have that first round grade on him, but for him to fall to day 3 now, it's pretty shocking to me. I don't know about you.
I mean, I think for me, like, quarterbacks with a day 2 grade get drafted in the first round. Yeah. Like, that's what happens. We saw it last year with Nix and Penix. Like, very rarely they'll fall out, but usually the ones that fall out are the guys like Milroe, where it's like, yeah, he has the upside, but it's a 1 in 5 kind of situation where like you got to play the odds. Malik Willis, very similar idea to me. I think Milroe has higher level experience, things like that. But I thought Shedeur Sanders' floor was probably like very early in day 2. Like, and the fact that he's still on the board, I don't understand it. I don't understand taking guys that are clearly worse than him, even if he had bad interviews. Like, let's face it, like these are not things that the league really cares about. They care about production. Like, I mean, it's not like Mike Green got drafted.
Right.
I mean, like, what are like, and what's Shedeur Sanders being accused of? Being not good in an interview? Like, it just doesn't seem to add up to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And to think that a lot of people were putting out there that the Steelers could even trade back into day 2, the second round today, in whatever scenario you thought that would be, whether it's George Pickens or using 2026 capital. But the fall for Sanders is very, very interesting, but I think the Steelers are very happy with what they came away with today. Yeah,
so let's talk about the haul. Kaleb Johnson from Iowa, to me, I think was probably the third best running back in this class, after Genty and Hampton, and you could argue for Travion Henderson, so third or fourth, but like I think he's right there. Was a player that I expected to be taken early in the second round, available to the Steelers late in the third round. I think he fits very nicely with Jalen Warren. We talked about the guys they brought in, a lot of speed guys. He's not that. Ran a relatively slow 40, but I think he provides a really nice complement to Jalen Warren while also being a really good fit for this offense.
Yeah, I mean, at Iowa, he ran for over 1,500 yards, 21 touchdowns in 2024, and, the thing that really didn't show up on the tape very much was catching the football. But like you said, the Steelers have a guy named Jalen Warren who's pretty good at that. And Kenny Gainwell, who they just signed for a 1-year deal. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's an awesome fit in Arthur Smith's wide zone run scheme offense. They're going to be a great duo, and he gives them that long-term flexibility at the position because, once again, Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell on 1-year deals in 2025.
Yeah, and I think, the fit is so good. Just like when you look at that Iowa offense, they do all the same things as what the Steelers do. They're running multiple tight ends, but they're running zone and they're running outside. It's not like two tight ends, but it's power football, you know. And I think that's a unique thing. I think it's one of the biggest issues with Najee Harris as a lead back last year is that he is more that power play guy, and it was like that's why they ran the toss so often, right? Because they're trying to get him on the outside in a different way, and it just never seemed to click. I think they'll do much better with Kaleb Johnson, even if he isn't any more faster. I just think he's a better, more natural runner in their scheme.
Yeah, Arthur Smith said after the pick, he called Kaleb Johnson one of the most instinctive runners he saw in the last couple of years coming out of the draft. And we got to talk with Kaleb after, and he even said that he's molded his game partially after Le'Veon Bell, which I think a lot of Steelers fans are going to like to hear.
What do you make of the first 2 days as a whole for the Pittsburgh Steelers, getting Derek Harmon in the first round, Kaleb Johnson in the second round? Is this at your expectations, above, below?
I would say it's slightly above. I mean, I think Derek Harmon is a pick that a lot of us saw coming in the first round if he was there. Obviously, the DK Metcalf trade for the second round pick, I think everyone is very happy with that. And then, like you said, Kaleb Johnson being there in the third round, I didn't expect him to be there. I think you can thank the Denver Broncos maybe for taking RJ Harvey in the second round.
Yeah, they're way off the board there, yeah.
I think he was a little bit in play there, and them kind of pivoting to Harvey instead kind of helped Johnson fall to the Steelers in the third round. And like I said, yeah, I would say slightly above average of what I was thinking, and I think, like I said, the Steelers are very happy with what they have going into day 3.
I think I agree, slightly above average. Expected Harmon. I had them making Dylan Sampson. I think Johnson is a better running back than Dylan Sampson, so I think they're above my expectations. And I think the uncertainty about the quarterback position is the only thing that's holding people back from feeling like this is a really good draft. And just the lack of picks. You only have 2 selections. You know, it's hard. But I think a really good job so far. And I think the board is still set up pretty well for them headed into the fourth round tomorrow. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is there. I don't know if they're going to entertain that idea. But the rest of the quarterbacks, too, like I expect them to draft a quarterback in day 3. And I look at who's left. I mean, the Browns are doing you a huge favor by taking somebody, out of order to me. Also, like, I still think the second tier of defensive tackles is still there. Like guys like Joshua Farmer still on the board, I think, right? JJ Pegues from Ole Miss, who I love. I mocked him to the Steelers in the 5th round. And then I think it's still pretty deep at wide receiver. I don't think that El Mayor's still there. There's good players for the Steelers here in the 4th round and the 4th round and beyond, and I think they're set up for a pretty solid draft.
Yeah, I think the Steelers draft so far has pretty much said that they're very much expecting Aaron Rodgers to be a part of this team.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, Art Rooney again sort of said the same thing when he talked to Steelers Nation Radio tonight. You know, I think it's pretty clear that the Steelers are. If they're not sure he's coming, they've put all their eggs in that basket.
Yeah, and you're hoping it's not a kind of Brandon Ayuk 2.0 kind of situation, but I really don't think it is that. And like you said, there's a few quarterbacks that are still on the board there. General Manager Omar Khan said the Steelers are still going to add 2 guys. So whether or not Aaron Rodgers is a part of the puzzle, which I expect him to be, you expect him to be, I think Will Howard, Kyle McCord, Shedeur Sanders, all in play tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. Should be interesting. We'll have the last of the Steelers draft coverage here from Rooney Sports Complex tomorrow, earlier in the day tomorrow, so that'll be nice. Thanks for staying up late for these last 2 nights. For Aaron Becker, I'm Alan Saunders, wrapping things up here on the South Side. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.